The AFC Championship game for the 2023 NFL season, even though we are in 2024, is officially here. And it's easy to say that we have the two best teams in the AFC facing off in this game as well. You look at some of the matchups. Well, first, let's start. We have the Chiefs at the Ravens. The Chiefs going on the road for their second ever postseason game in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes traveling to M&T Bank Stadium. Lamar Jackson in his first ever AFC Championship game, hosting it in Baltimore. So he's going to feel comfortable. He's going to feel on top of the world, being able to secure that number one seed, being able to have the best record in the NFL, a lot like the MVP year that he had a few years back, and also being able to win the MVP, kind of foreseeing that for this season as well. Let's take a look at some of the matchups for the AFC Championship game that we have coming up. It's going to be a Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson storyline. Everybody knows that both of these quarterbacks are MVP caliber. Both of them have won MVPs. And again, Lamar is chasing Mahomes in order to be able to win that second MVP, as well as Lamar has just played absolutely out of his life this year. And Patrick Mahomes has played solid. Also, this is going to be a great quarterback matchup. I don't really see either of these quarterbacks having a prolific quarterback performance due to the fact that both defenses in this game are very elite. They're very prolific. They sport a lot of young and veteran players on those sides of the ball that can make a lot of plays when it really matters. So I really think both of these guys, not only because it's the AFC Championship game, but they're going to have to perform to that MVP type level that we know both of them can perform in. Lamar Jackson being able to scramble and really ad-lib his plays. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes, big arm. We know this is going to be an amazing matchup between these two guys, and I can't wait for it to, square off Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. The trenches are going to be a big part in this game as well, because you look, the Ravens are first in sacks. The Chiefs are second in sacks. The Chiefs' O-line is second best in the NFL for sacks taken on the offense. Ravens are about middle of the pack with sacks given up as well. So I'm thinking about, the Justin Matabukis of the world, the Jadeveon Clowneys of the world, the Patrick Queens, the Roquan Smiths, versus with the Chiefs, you're thinking about the George Karlaftises, you're thinking about the Chris Jones, the other pass rushers, the other linebackers that are out there for Kansas City and are going to make a presence in this game, especially when it comes to the trenches. I feel like I would give the slight nod defensive trenches to Baltimore, of course, but offensive line, offensive trenches, it's definitely going to go to Kansas City. And I really see this being a defensive squabble on Sunday as well. The Chiefs are second in points per game and yards per game defensively. We've talked all year about how Steve Spagnuolo has really remade that Chiefs defense and made them into an elite unit. The Ravens are sixth in yards per game, and they are first in points per game as well. We're going to see a lot of Trent McDuffie on Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews has been cleared for this game, although I don't expect a whole lot from him. Don't count out his presence, as he is still an elite tight end, and we know that he goes down earlier in the year. And Lamar Jackson has to make a big use of Isaiah Likely, who's also going to be facing off against that Kansas City secondary as well. A lot of Travis Kelce versus Roquan Smith and even possibly Patrick Queen. Marlon Humphrey is questionable in this game, which does kind of disappoint me because he is one of the better players for this Baltimore team that I want to see healthy and ultimately see in Baltimore's biggest game since they went and won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis, and of course the year that Ray Lewis retired as well. Rashee Rice versus that Ravens secondary. I'm going to give this advantage a slight nod to the Baltimore Ravens for the fact that John Harbaugh is a defensive-minded head coach. John Harbaugh has made this Ravens culture over the last 15 years basically one of the best to be respected, established on the field, and they hold up to the names that they have on their roster and to the mantra that people know them for. So I'm going to give this slight nod here to the Baltimore Ravens defensively. But some things we're really going to see in this game before we, of course, go ahead and get into the score prediction is I think the Ravens are going to establish the run very well in this one. Kansas City gave up 182 yards versus Buffalo. Kansas City gave up 3 touchdown drives of 75 plus yards. To know that the Buffalo Bills, with Josh Allen still as their leading rusher, who has been the leading rusher in 6 of their last 10 playoff games, that's probably not going to be able to work here. And knowing that the Ravens are going to be able to get this offensive upper hand on Kansas City's defense with running the football, I think we're going to see a lot of good run plays from Baltimore in this one. Now, that's not to say that Kansas City doesn't run the ball well either, because Isaiah Pacheco, very, very strong runner, arguably a top 5, top 3 running back in the game right now. Whether you want to say it or not, he might not have the gaudiest numbers, but the way he runs, he's fierce, he's powerful, he's mean, and the Kansas City Chiefs really got an awesome steal in Isaiah Pacheco. Again, no prolific quarterback performances in this game. I could really see Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes each passing for maybe 195 to 220 yards, maybe a couple of touchdowns from each of them. But this is going to be, again, a defensive squabble, a grinded out game, a which defense is going to bend but not break, which is why I believe a turnover will decide this one here. Because if the Chiefs don't turn over Lamar Jackson at M&T Bank Stadium, it's going to be really hard to beat him in his backyard. We know Patrick Mahomes takes extreme care of the football. Last 5 playoff games, all 5 wins, no turnovers, plenty of touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes and great plays as well. Yes, that does include the Super Bowl. The Ravens scored 28.4 points per game this year. The Chiefs have scored 21.8 points per game this year. I will take the Baltimore Ravens with the final score of 24-21 to advance to the Super Bowl for the first time since Ray Lewis's final season when he won it all and retired. We remember the lights went out in New Orleans. Of course, we know, ironically, the Super Bowl is going to be next year in New Orleans after it is this year in Vegas. And I know some of you guys have been keeping up with my picks as well. Just to, since we're picking games real quick, I went 174-98 in the regular season, so that's 64%. I went 3-3 in the wild card round, lost all my NFC picks, nailed all my AFC picks. I went 3-1 in the divisional, the only one that I did lose there. Which one was that in the divisional that I picked wrong? I can't remember off the top of my head, unfortunately, but I am taking the Baltimore Ravens in this AFC Championship game to advance to the Super Bowl. Now, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs very well have a good chance to win this football game. I picked against the Chiefs last week. I might eat crow again doing it this week, but this is the year for Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, that defense, and everybody associated with the Baltimore Ravens to get that coveted Super Bowl berth that they have not seen in 10 plus years.